Once upon a time, long, long ago in, hell, well, you know the rest, the absolute evil had, in the fabulous predecessor to this game, taken over the entire overworld with its creatures. Now it spent its time on debauched parties and... Wait a minute. The entire overworld? No! One small village of indomitable heroes still held out against the invaders. The unamused evil was beside itself with rage. But all this was about to change once and for all, because the remote controlling evil sent its most vicious general into the field, the dark elf Talia. Talia, also known from the fabulous predecessor, came back from her vacation in a thoroughly good mood. Before that, she had defeated her foster father, the paladin Thanos. This fact is important to note. For this last remaining village of heroes was protected by none other than Tristan, foster son of Thanos and Talia's stepbrother. This proud warrior in shining, his handsome heroic chest accentuating armor, was the last glimmer of hope for the forces of good. Talia, who had fully embraced the dark side, couldn't wait to really kick her stepbrother's ass. And so our story begins. The last defenders of good were fighting for their survival. This seemed to be the perfect time for Tristan to make his appearance, the last mighty hero of the good races.
My brothers! In your eyes I see the same fear that would lead me to despair. The day may come when the courage of true heroes is extinguished, when we abandon our companions and all bonds of friendship are broken. But that day is still far off. Stand fast, heroes of the West!
And with those familiar-sounding words, Tristan charged into battle to the cheers of his men. The heroes of good had managed to capture some of the evil creatures. Nevertheless, it was more than questionable whether a few minor victories and a brilliant speech could do anything against the absolute evil's armies. A storm of darkness and gloom descended, heralding the arrival of Talia, the absolute evil's general. This entrance not only panicked the defenders of good, but also seemed to strengthen the creatures of evil.
Hey, I'm back! Time to kick a little hero butt. Forward, creatures! Show me what you can do! Punch 'em smack dab in the mouth! Smash 'em in the face! Oh, and just as a precaution, get me my handbook of worn-out third-rate catchphrases. Ha-ha! If my eyes don't deceive me, that's my stupid stepbrother Tristan over there too, just waiting for me to lovingly put his head on a spear. Ha! Today is gonna be a good day.
Talia seemed to be very sure of victory. Some might find this puzzling, as it was the beginning of a long new campaign. But okay, maybe the rest of the missions are nothing but a string of debauched victory celebrations. Who knows?
A few pitiful opponents. I'm gonna massacre you. If I can just remember how that works again.
Fortunately, Talia's instincts took over at this point, something which wannabe pro gamers often refer to as auto-attack. Talia also remembered that she had a few skills that she could invoke whenever she felt like it.
Oh, right! Boom! That's how it's done.
Talia's mighty storm once again stood at her disposal.
Hey, did someone actually cage my subordinates? Ah, forget that. I'm the only one who's allowed to do that. Time to bust these things open, pulverize them, nuke 'em!
Once again, Talia's fury descended to plunge the land into blackness. You have destroyed a cage. Talia had freed all the creatures. Not to be outdone by her stepbrother, she too gave a brilliant speech.
Speech? Sure. Creatures! Time to punch the do-gooders right in the kisser! Forward! Punch 'em in the face, kick 'em in the shins, break their belt buckles so they trip on their pants!
Yes, very inspiring. Talia had reached the center of battle. With another brilliant speech, she goaded her creatures on one more time.
Another speech? Oh. Ding dong, the hero's dead. Is that okay?
Honestly, I don't know if I can work with you like this. After Talia's words, the creatures surged forward and flocked to their linguistically under-talented leader, or would like to, but the defenses on the left and right flanks made progress impossible. Talia had to destroy them in order to receive further support. The hero's defense collapsed on the right flank. The monstrous evil's creatures flocked to Talia.
Excellent. I can always use more cannon fodder. I mean, loyal subordinates.
The hero's left defensive flank could no longer withstand the breaching evil's creatures.
Hasta la vista, hero boy!
Talia, stepsister! You dare to show your face here after killing our foster father!
Yeah. Is that a trick question? You can see I'm here. Thanos deserved what he got. And I thought to myself, hey, like father, like son.
You will pay for your deeds, sister. The light will protect me. Sister, turn from evil and come back to the side of good. See the power of light.
With these words, Tristan was bathed in a golden light that seemed to protect him. As if that were not troublesome enough, a number of magical portals opened at the same time.
Huh. As if this wasn't dragging on way too long already. Can't we just jump straight to the point where I greedily take over the world? Forward, creatures! Smash the portals! Flatten that magic junk! Pull the plug!
My brothers! In your eyes, I see the same fear that would lead me to despair. The day may come when the courage of true heroes is extinguished, when we abandon our companions and all bonds of friendship are broken. But that day is still far off. Stand fast, heroes of the West!
Oh, didn't you spout that same bullshit earlier? In exactly the same words.
No, not at all. I am known for my brilliant speeches, wicked stepsister.
I seem to remember that whenever you were supposed to speak in front of the class, we had to get a mop.
You'll pay for that. Onward, faithful! Destroy the evil!
All the magical portals had been destroyed, and with them, Tristan's shield went up in smoke.
That's the way I like it. Now, where were we? Oh, yeah. I was just about to kick my stepbrother's butt.
Talia once again summoned her fury.
Sister, it doesn't have to end this way. Join me. Together we can still save the world.
Oh, can't you just die and spare us all the embarrassing melodrama?
Talia, this isn't the end. We'll meet again!
With these words, Tristan quickly created a portal and threw himself through it with the last of his strength. The portal closed again behind him.
Treachery, fraud, cheater! This was supposed to be my victory! And what the hell kind of glove is that anyway? Looks to me like game design forgot to balance the thing properly.
Maybe the people in charge were still too captivated by your great speech. It brought tears to my eyes too, however, not of emotion.
As if the bird brains these evil creatures have needed grand speeches. A few skulls to bash in, and the social calendar for the evening is filled.
Well, each to their own. But apparently, Tristan had suffered a mishap, as the aforementioned magic glove still lay in the place where it was last used. It would seem that he had accidentally lost it.
Wonderful. This thing is just what I need. Très chic. I'll, just grab that right away.
And so our story begins. Tristan had managed to give Talia the slip, but she had been able to capture his magic glove. The Gauntlet of Finitude, a fabled artifact. Unfortunately, UI overlays don't work in cutscenes, so Talia couldn't read just exactly what the glove did. Nevertheless, she proudly presented it to the Absolute Evil in its form as the Dungeon Lord. And so misfortune took its course, because at the same time, Talia wanted to demonstrate how loudly she could snap her fingers. But this snap, which would go down in the history books as the Dungeon Lord snap, unleashed horrific forces that were discharged into the Dungeon Lord himself. As Talia rose to her feet, the gauntlet had disappeared, and the Dungeon Lord lay dying. Viewers often began to cry at this point, because it made them think back to the last really good superhero movie. Talia mourned for about 5 seconds. Talia had shattered the realms of good and served them onto the absolute evil on a silver platter, while it had actually done nothing at all. So Talia now became the absolute ruler. She had no clue about how to rule, but more than made up for it with hubris and consistently ignoring glaring problems. In addition, she surrounded herself with a staff of incompetent advisors. What could possibly go wrong? 10 minutes later, Tristan had captured Talia, locked her in a cage, and put the armies of absolute evil to flight. And so the story ends. We'll tell you how the story continues in overpriced microtransaction bites. Oh, wait, Wait, wrong script. That's a different developer. Hang in there, I've almost got it. While Talia was ignominiously taken away, the unused essence of absolute evil continued to float through the ether. It wasn't about to admit defeat that easily, but for evil to triumph once again, it needed Talia back, for better or for worse. And so the swirling essence of absolute evil set about commanding the perplexed-looking chaotic hordes and freeing Talia.
Tristan! Let me out of this damned cage, you stupid little good elf. Otherwise, I'll have a hard time wringing your scrawny neck. What the hell do you want from me anyway?
Talia, stepsister, your deplorable deeds must not go unpunished. You have slain our foster father Thanos, a blasphemous affront to our goddess, whom you, to top it all off, have also slain. But we will have plenty of time to argue on our journey. I am here for the stone. Brynhild, if you please.
You know you can, you little cutie. Oi! Go on, you lazy locks. Get that destroyer of worlds class hammer going.
Talia had been captured. Only the bubbling around the place essence of absolute evil could save her. It was amusing to leave Talia in the clutches of her brother. But on the other hand, without her help, the shapeless evil would probably just roam the countryside as a disembodied something or other, and at best be hired for third-rate horror movies. Fortunately, a forgotten dungeon heart lying in the underground could quickly be reactivated. Together with the creatures of the Horde, it would be easy to smash the do-gooder heroes there to smithereens. The wafting evil had to get rid of that dwarven contraption on the overworld, as it posed a threat to the underground, and with it, the dungeon heart. It was therefore necessary to build a mighty dungeon, or rather, to have one built, because as a wafting essence, the disembodied evil could not do much itself. The gold-hungry evil had built a treasury. The meager amount that could be stored in the throne room was simply not even close to enough for a proper gold bath. It's payday. Gluttony-loving evil had built a gobbler farm. Here, delicious gobblers were raised to serve as food for the horde. The sheltering evil had built a hideout for the horde's creatures. These could henceforth build themselves a place to rest there. The army-raising evil had recruited its first creature, a bit underwhelming considering that it was sitting on the throne of the gods a short time ago. But fresh starts are never easy. The evilest evil could use the hand of terror, not only to intervene, but also to lend its little snots the impetus they needed by giving them a spirited slap. The attitude-adjusting evil had struck one of its little snots. Frightened, the detestable evil had earned some delicious evilness. Excellent things could be done with it, such as exploring new stuff. However, first, a place had to be found where the evilness could be stored. The absolute evil quickly built a vault of evilness.
Oi! How long is this stone thing going to take, lads? Snookums and I were planning on dying of old age here.
I sure hope not, because I have a whole different set of plans for just how you lot are gonna die here.
Evil had built a vault of evilness. This allowed it to henceforth store evilness and use it.
Oi! No need to sit around being lazy when we could be picking up a little gold while we're here, eh? On you go, lads! Grab the nearest gold vein.
Sooner or later, the greedy dwarves would dig their way into the dungeon. The perfidious evil used a workshop to prepare traps to stop the gold-stealing dwarves in their tracks. The hard work-allowing evil had built a tinkerer's cave. Here, little snots could use the work units to make toolboxes, which were needed for the more extravagant dungeon accoutrements. Technological progress has almost always been a fine thing. Further research could not only make new units or rooms available, but also increase the maximum number of little snots or creatures. workforce hoarding evil had increased its maximum little snot limit and now had access to even more of the industrious little creatures. Payday! The cunning evil had placed the first traps. This would make it much harder for the greedy dwarves to steal the gold from the treasury or even destroy the dungeon heart itself. Your gold vein is nearly exhausted.
into my little gold mine. Yeah! They had two stinking orcs, whose skulls are at best used as toilet paper holders in the lavatory. Okay, boys, tear this joint to the ground.
Dwarves had opened a passage into the dungeon. The little snots immediately executed Order 67, as they had been instructed to do by Talia in such a case, which meant that they ran through the dungeon with their arms flapping wildly. At the same time, they opened the secret trap cache, so that the tricky evil could give the dwarves a very warm welcome. The insidious evil's traps had struck once again, taking a hero.
Oi! Did you little honey buns forget your little baby bottles? Or how did you manage to lose to a bunch of lousy orcs? Still have some reinforcements here. Reinforcements? Attack!
Obviously, the danger from the dwarves had not yet been neutralized. Luckily, the little snots had made a few traps in their spare time, and they were only too happy to make available to the all-consuming evil. Thrasher Trap not only took out one hero, it also provided any and all surrounding heroes with some nutritious cauliflower at the same time. Cauliflower ears, that is. Oh. Oh. One of your creatures has died. I'm sure you're shedding a tear right now as you hire the next 3. Later, you may also be able to resurrect these creatures.
What's one dead creature if it gets one closer to the goal of freeing me? Come on! Free me already, you rotten maggots!
Your throne room is under attack.
Another saw trap was mounted halfway up to be even more effective against walls.
Payday!
The saw trap was perfectly suited for cutting tree trunks, but since they wouldn't become a resource until Dungeons 5, it would have to settle for dwarves for now. One of your creatures has died. The Thrasher was a very powerful trap, just waiting to slap several heroes to Nirvana at the same time. One of your creatures has bit the dust. The dwarves were defeated for the time being. Satisfied, the essence of absolute evil rubbed something together that could perhaps pass the two hands together. The all-destroying evil had conquered the exit. This left the way to the surface open for its troops. Absolute evil's creatures blinked a little as they stepped into the glaring light of the sun. Finally, they could lay waste not only to the boring corridors of the dungeon, but also to the lush green meadows of the overworld.
It's payday.
The horrific evil had destroyed a camp in the overworld. The defeated heroes ran away crying and tried to entrench themselves behind even higher walls. Oh. The vile evil had destroyed another of the heroes' camps. Screaming at the top of their voices, the survivors took to their heels.
I have to protect the blueprints, Newcombs. Otherwise, the orcs will eventually end up building some decent machinery here. Well then, keep your chin up, Toodles.
Brynhild, what are you doing? I thought your dwarves could easily handle a few orcs.
Problems, brother mine? Oh, what a shame. I had actually already planned on making myself a tea set out of dwarf skulls.
Talia, your evilness truly knows no bounds. These dwarves are part of the Alliance of Good. You were also once part of that alliance.
The path to the dwarves' oversized hammer lay open. The trembling heroes prepared themselves for the final battle. One of your creatures has bit the dust. Payday. A cage was destroyed and creatures were freed. The dwarven equipment spectacularly spectacularly went up in flames, which was rather odd, as the creatures had only been hitting the thing with their weapons. But fine, perhaps horde weapons were made of flint. Yet the distraction provided by the dwarven intervention had shifted the destruction-loving evil's focus long enough for Talia and her stepbrother Tristan to disappear into the distance. With an imaginary sigh, the staggering evil took one last look around before setting off in pursuit. The path led to the Hellwoods, an eerie place claimed by the demonic creatures of the underworld.